Good afternoon and welcome to the November 28th, 2017 meeting of the Architectural Review Board. The Architectural Review Board is a 9-member board appointed by the City Council and serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Once procedure for conducting business is the petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present his or her request. The board will ask any questions that they may have. Then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward to voice their opinions. Each side will have 10 minutes to speak. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have any questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact the staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for the particular item has concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and will render its decisions. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architectural Review Board are final. Any aggrieved party may appeal a decision of the board to the City Council within 15 days. Petitioners may also appeal the board's decision to the Circuit Court within 30 days of the meeting. We have 7 members present. It takes 5 to pass a motion. Because of the number of board members present, if you would like to delay your request, please let us know at the time your request is announced. At this time, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the members of the Architectural Review Board. Ms. Elizabeth Brown, Barrett Penny, Reverend Willie Welch, John Hayden, John Foshee, David Payne, and yours truly, Walter Bush, Jr. Our planning control staff, Christy Anderson, Paula Richardson, Russell Stringer, and Robert Smith. At this time, we do have a quorum, and has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting? Do you have any deletions, corrections, or additions to those minutes? That being said, the minutes are approved as written. Oops, mine's not working.
Click on put your cursor on your page and then click.
Okay, there we go, okay.
Then go away to the scroll.
Okay. Our first presenter, Bill Wilson, request for approval of a partial roof replacement for the property located at 670 Cloverdale Road, Old Cloverdale. You may present your project.
I'm coming back to you guys, presenting again about the roof tile that we have. I actually have a couple of samples. Ms. Brown, you had requested I search out something that wasn't the standing seam. Christy, they're pretty heavy, but I just want you to be aware of the size difference we're talking about between what's originally on it compared to what I have found that would be as close a facsimile as I could find. There's also a piece of paper in front of you. I have not decided on a color. I want it to match appropriately. The roof itself has a kind of a patina to it, so it's darker than even the sample I have right now, and I would like to maintain that. And I'd also like to have the board's permission to, depending on how this goes, to replace the entire roof or do the partial in that sample there, depending on the color again. And so this is my best effort to try and get something that is a similar product that is as close as you can get currently. And now, while I'd prefer to have the metal decking of the roof, I understand that we are where we are. So That's pretty much it.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor?
Darby Forrester, representing the Old Cloverdale Association. As we stated at last month's meeting, we don't think that the metal roof would be appropriate. The metal that is already on there on the back was either put on there prior to a storage designation or was put on there without approval. Looking at the option that he's brought, I mean, to me, it would be better than a metal roof. At least has that horizontal look of tile shingle type, which I think would be better than the metal.
Bill, let me ask you a question here,
Sir.
please. This is the one you're proposing here on the
That's
road?
correct.
And of course, that is outrageously expensive.
Yes, sir.
But do we know that the roof is strong enough to carry it in those areas where the metal has been used? Was it?
In the small spots, there's one portion of the roof that probably wouldn't be able to handle it. It'd have to go back with a metal deck, or I'd just leave what's there. But that's just over a small screen and porch. The rest of it, the simple reason that they didn't replace it is because there was no more stock. They had to do a small fix on the back. Paula, there's one more image.
So what would you say?
Right there, if you see that one ridge point down there,
Yep.
that was just stock that they didn't have enough, so they had to remove it, replace it, and they placed that metal there. There's just no backstock anywhere, so.
So what % of your roof is now the clay tile?
That's a great question.
Approximately.
Probably anywhere from 60 to 70%, because I've got actually a bit of flat roof on the top as well that you can't quite see. It's kind of hidden. But for something that has the product, either the metal or the tile, it's closer to 90% on the actual tile roof.
So you're talking about having 90% of your roof already covered in clay tile.
Sir, yeah. I'm making an assumption. I haven't done math or anything like
and
that.
about 10% is the metal.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and one thing, just a point of clarification, there may be 2 spots that if you're walking down Lockerbie, that you can see the back of my house. But I mean, that's really like in the winter, taking time, and oh, there it is. I mean, that's what it takes. My house is hidden. I mean, for Christy took that photo up there, she was well into my property before she could get to that point to see that. It's very well kind of hidden in and amongst the other buildings nearby me. So
I want to make sure I understand what you're asking, Mr. Wilson. You want to put this where the metal is now, and depending on how that goes, perhaps replace the entire roof?
yeah, well, I would.
Front and back, or just back?
I want to do, if we're going with that tile, I'm going to do the back half.
Okay.
And depending on how that goes,
Okay.
I'll do the front as well. And it's just a function of how many tiles did I get off that are in good standing and are, usable. A lot of these things, even the sample I have here, you see it's cracked, it's old, it's lost its coating, and so now it's just the aggregate that's exposed. So that's just part of it.
Is your roof leaking?
Yes, sir.
So are you saying then that you need a new roof?
Yes, absolutely. The only reason I'm doing this is I have to have a new roof.
So what good would it do then to be continuing to salvage what you got with in bad shape?
It's the underlayment that's gone bad.
Sure.
The tile itself, for the most part, some of the ridge has been, I flew my drone up there and I looked at it. Some of the ridge caps have broken, but it's just where the underlayment's so old that it just needs to be replaced. And ideally, I'd like to come back with what's there, because there's Paul, if you put the front one, the house, that roof, especially when you're on Cloverdale, it becomes the dominant feature of the house, and it has a very particular look and feel to it. So ideally, I go back with it, but I don't want to get to a point where I find out I don't have the tile and then I have to come back to you. I'd rather have the permission to do what I need to do to get it repaired and replaced.
Well, I'll just bring this up to the board. I've got a project right now in Sylacauga that has metal Spanish tile on it in places, and then the real McCoy in other places on the building, and they don't match. But the main reason they don't match is because they're a different color. But then we're adding another element to the building, and I'm using a tile on it that is not individual pieces like this. And I've been sitting here trying to think of the name of it, but in the photographs that I've seen, it looks just like the Boral product here, except it's not a series of individual heavy clay tiles. And I want to, these are $600 or $700 or $800 a square or something like that, aren't they?
I don't know the actual value. I've got my.
It's pretty outrageous.
It's not inexpensive.
And I think the product I'm looking at, and if you'll call me tomorrow, and if you want to kind of delay this, and if the board's interested in considering.
I can't delay it. I gotta get a roof on my house. I mean, we got a leak, and I've got this beautiful crown molding inside the house, and
Okay.
it's plaster.
Anyway,
I'm sure.
The
No, I appreciate it.
And the product I found is about $300 a square.
Right, and I did talk to the roofer. We did look at a piece that's actually Mr. Leibowitz used on his on 25 Dexter. The problem is once we got it to scale, once we got in front of it, the fluting on it was rather large. So it was overpowering, especially because on that front, when you get onto my front porch, you're right there on my roof. Like it's a low roof, so like you really do get that impact. So even that piece, just depending on how much overlap I have on it, it's going to be substantial.
So you're thinking that you can remove enough of this tile and salvage it, and then repair your underlayment, put it back, and then on the back elevation or part of an elevation, use this other material.
Absolutely. That was the initial intent was behind that, was to do exactly that. And originally I was just going to come back with a metal deck, just so that way. Partly, once I do this, I don't want to have somebody get on the roof after the fact to either replace asphalt or whatever it is. So that way I reduce how much people are getting on there, and then the possibility of hurting or damaging that concrete tile.
Okay.
So then expressly ask us exactly what you'd like to do, knowing how this board kind of feels about it then.
I would like permission to do the rear half in the Burrell Villa 900 in an appropriate color, one of the ones I selected there. Again, I have to get a sample. I have to see it before I make that decision as to which color it is. This was the sample he had on hand. This is just what he had, and so I couldn't see a color. And you know how photos are. They're very deceiving. So once I get that color, I mean, it's going to be in this, and it'll probably be more than likely, I think it's the chart, I can't remember, it's that top right one.
Espresso?
The espresso. Just because that's the way it reads from the front, is that kind of dark color. And that's what I'd like to maintain on the house. So, but I would like the permission to do the rear half, and depending on how it goes with the salvage, also do the front if it doesn't go well.
Then I would like to make a motion that we allow him to do what he just requested. Do I have to restate it?
No, I've got it. We'll do it as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion that's been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Your project's been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter, Judd Blunt, request for approval of painting an unpainted surface at the property located at 416 Cloverdale Road, Old Cloverdale. You may present your project.
Good afternoon. My name is Judd Blunt. This is Laura Dockery. We're seeking y'all's approval to paint the brick at 416 Cloverdale Road. We're concerned about where we have to do some repair, matching the mortar, and we also feel that painting that brick will make the limestone pop and look a lot better. Oh, she came into call.
21, 40, okay, 21. Okay.
Do we have any comments from the board?
Are you adding some new construction as well?
We are adding a piece of equipment. If you're familiar with the roof, with the building, the concrete roof where the night deposit box was is angled, and a walk-in cooler is going underneath that.
Am I right there?
Yes, sir. And squaring the building up a little bit.
So what's your extra material proposed there?
Existing brick.
Existing brick. Well, it'll be re-bricked back to the walk-in cooler.
But you don't have enough, you're not gonna have enough.
I don't believe so.
And you won't be able to match it, probably.
That's right.
So all the more reason to paint it.
Yes, sir.
Now, what I'm seeing here is it about as long going in the other direction? Is it almost a square, or it's kind of a rectangle? This is a long leg, short leg, and long leg?
Yes, sir.
Any further comments from the board?
Well, I hate to see the painting of an original material that's unpainted. And, you know, painting brick is, you're going to be painting it the rest of your life. As it is, it's very little maintenance. But if it's going to be painted, it needs to be painted a brick color, not some color that's not a brick color, in my opinion.
I would note that if painting the surface is approved and he painted it a brick color, then he would automatically have permission to paint it a palette color because it's an already painted surface. Just throwing that out there.
And this building was a anchor for the community for decades, and for the past decade or two, it has not been an anchor. It has had bulletproof glass in the building, and we are trying to bring the building back to be an anchor for the community. And we're bringing back the blue terrazzo floors, and so we hope we can get your approval.
Well, we've also already got John's service station too dark, and now we're putting a whole solid wall surface that's dark next to that, although I guess the brick wall is dark too.
And it's quite frankly ugly brick.
Brick from that period was ugly. I have to agree with you, but it's what we got.
It will be softened by landscaping too.
Yes.
It's not going to be.
We are planting a nice oak tree in the front, and we will have some additional landscaping, which I believe will help soften it.
Okay. Any comments from the floor?
Dorby Forrester, representing the Old Cloverdale Association. We are, as an association, opposed to painting brick unless it's absolutely necessary because of the total disrepair or fixes that, you know, are really bad. But otherwise, we feel that, you know, brick shouldn't be painted.
Any further comments from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
Well, let me just ask the board a question or two here. So, somebody comment on Elizabeth's comments about painting the brick a paint color that is very, very close to the brick itself, as opposed to painting it, you know, a color that matches the limestone, which it won't. And so the contrast, it seems to me, is an appropriate thing to maintain the style of the building. So somebody give me a little feedback there on what the other board members, what do y'all think about the red brick business?
I'd be more inclined if it were closer to its original color. we are not fans of painting brick. We understand that there are occasions when it's necessary, and I know that there are painted brick all over that area. Most buildings, I think, over there painted at some point in time. But
why do you want to paint it?
Well, we have to repair the one side, and we're concerned about the mortar matching the existing mortar. And I think the color...
Additional brick is not going to match as well.
Yeah, additional brick won't match. And I think the color we picked will make the limestone really look better and make it pop and make the building look a lot better.
Can you use some other type of material for your addition that you're doing, rather than just putting the bricks up there? Can you come back with a stucco or something like that?
I wouldn't mind if the brick was painted on this part that
Yeah, I mean,
the addition. It's just the painting of the two sides of the building. You've also, I mean, you've got a west and east facade there, so that brick's going to take a lot of, you know, it's just, the paint's not going to stick on it. It's not going to want to stick on it very well.
Well, that wouldn't be a reason not to allow it, Elizabeth. I mean, masonry paint now has greatly improved over what it used to be. I mean, it has a long life expectancy because paints have just improved in quality.
Yes, they have.
But it's a question, I think, more of, I mean, these folks need to be allowed to do this project in some manner, so do we say to them to paint only the new brick, to match the existing brick the best they can and the mortar the best they can, and then come back to us and we all go by and look at it and see if it then really does need to be painted? I mean, red brick is Jenkins or Capital Brick or someone. Have y'all tried to go look and
I have not had time. I've been, frankly, very busy.
Right. I mean, I think that you could get a brick that would match pretty closely, and
I think matching the mortar is the concern. The
but
mortar,
even then, I mean, it looks like it was not a colored mortar or anything. It's just an aged gray mortar or white mortar, and it may be that you had to use a colored mortar that would approximate the aging of this and save some money. You know, not have to go to the trouble of painting the building. Would y'all entertain that as the?
I would rather paint the building, quite frankly.
Well, if we told you you couldn't paint the building,
Then I can't paint the building.
then what would you rather do?
Then it will be brick. It'll be ugly brick.
But I mean, you think you can get some more ugly brick?
I do not know.
I mean, you could attempt to match it.
We could attempt to.
All right, I want to offer a different viewpoint on this one. On this particular building, in this particular case, I don't have a problem painting that brick. I think it's going to be a mess when you put back the bricks that you've already removed. I think it's going to be a mess. And I think it would be okay to have painted brick on this particular building. Again, my personal thoughts, personal.
If I can say, too, that we really did pay particular attention to the color palette, and the whole interior, we were paying homage to the original architecture. We're using mid-century fixtures. We are really trying to honor the homage of the architecture of the building. And we really want that limestone to make a present statement in the community, and for that to be what stands out. And now we feel like, because of the patching and everything that else that's going on, there's so many distractions visually, and we think that the facade of the building would make a much better statement if the back of it was kind of toned down a bit, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, it's always difficult in the design professions not to fix things that you feel like, fix things that are wrong that people did in the past. But this is an architectural review board, but our job is to really decide what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, not what we think looks better today. I don't have any problem with what you're proposing as far as how it looks. I just think that that's not my job. My job is what's appropriate, and I think the unpainted brick is more appropriate. So that's just my opinion. And I'll vote accordingly.
Chair, entertain a motion.
Give it a putt.
Yeah, just to see where we are, I would move to approve the request as submitted.
We have a motion to approve what's submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor of that motion? All oppose that motion? The motion did not pass.
All right, thank you.
They have to make a motion that does pass. You're not done yet.
We're liable to pass one here in a minute.
Got to have 5 people.
Don't give up yet.
Okay, so would y'all be, I think an idea was brought up down there to just paint the portion that you're working on currently, this lower portion in the rear, and not paint the brick along both long sides.
Could we paint all the brick on the west side, which if you can go back to the other picture. So we would leave that brick on facing John's store would be not painted. And then if you can go to the other picture.
Paint the parking lot side?
Could we paint that brick that's facing west, that whole wall? That's in between the limestone? Would that look like?
Yeah, I'd probably not be in favor of that. But you can see you've got a board here with diverse opinions. I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I mean, why not? So I would propose, make a motion that we allow the petitioner to locate the best match of the brick that he can and best match of the mortar, lay up a sample panel, and let the ARB board members go by and take a look and see if we think it's an acceptable blend. And period. I mean, we stop right there.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have
I'll second that.
Okay. We have any unreadness on this motion? All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Okay, the motion has been passed.
Tell them what we passed. You understand what we passed, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Our next presenter, Wilbert Jernigan, Sr. Request for approval of tree removal after the fact and replacement for the property located at 1857 Melina Avenue, Old Cloverdale. This project is in violation. You may present your project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Wilbur Jernigan, and I own the property 1857 Galena. When I purchased that property, it was really run down, and while I was there working, a tree limb from a black cherry tree on the front right side fell on the neighbor's house, and I cut the cherry tree on the other side. So what I want to do is ask permission to replant a 30-gallon willow oak in front on the right side of the house coming up the driveway.
Okay. All right. Mr. String, you have any comments on that?
I'm on. Is willow oak, and that's a good tree species so far as replacement goes. So there's no problem there. 30-gallon, city standards 2.5-inch caliper. I don't know if you can find that in a 30-gallon tree. When y'all get around to looking at size of replacement, it's easier on me and Christy if you just say the city's landscape standards, which is 2.5-inch caliper and straight, free of defect.
Okay. Great, thank you. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor?
Hi, my name is Sarah Churchman, and I'm president of Montgomery Trees. And we are just, again, just to say, we seem to have a precedent of people coming and begging for forgiveness, then asking for permission. And we request that the petition be denied, and that, barring that, that we do believe that Russell's recommendations for planting a tree would be sufficient. But again, it seems like I've been coming to these meetings for only about 6 or 7 months, and at least once a month, somebody's coming to just basically beg forgiveness for cutting down their tree instead of, coming in here with forethought and doing it the right way. It just seems like there should be some sort of penalty on that. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further comment from the floor? Any comments from the board?
What sort of penalty options do we have?
If you deny the request after the fact, and this is important because we've got one coming up in December that was a removal of 6 trees. And we did file that one in court because it's been a year since he's shown up here to see us. We would file the paperwork in court. You would not get a replacement tree. Maximum fine is $500. Last time we were in there for a tree removal, we got one of these and a $100 fine. So.
Wait a minute, you got one of what? Oh, that look, okay. And a $100 fine.
And a $100 fine.
I believe the cost of the new trees, 2.5-inch calipers, would be more than a $100 fine, wouldn't they, Russell?
It is, but then again, are we trying to, Christie and I may differ on certain things. I don't like handling the law here if it should be handled in court, regardless of what the outcome would be. Does that make sense? That's a personal preference.
Where does that lead you to, though, on this matter?
As far as I'm concerned, it goes for a judge. I don't care. We're following the law. Does that make sense?
Except that the board's general practice has been to approve the removal of most trees with an appropriate replacement. So
Right.
I also agree with that statement.
If you
as well.
operate under the assumption, which you're supposed to, that they asked for permission first because y'all are not the punishers, the question is, would you have approved this tree removal with this proposed replacement had it not been cut before he arrived here this evening? That's really the question that you all have to deal with. And the question, it's a yes or no question. Is it or is it not appropriate? And if you say it's not, then we take them to court. We get to be the heavies on that.
Did you ever see the trees before they were cut down?
No, I didn't. I saw the one that was mentioned that it had fallen. That tree had split. I approved that one for removal.
One of the two?
That's right.
Was that the one next to the driveway? Because I can.
Yes.
Yes.
So the one next to the driveway is the one that split. The one that was cut down, Mr. Jernigan, that was just from the, I guess, satellite or aerial photograph. Looks very close to the left side of the house.
Yes.
That is correct.
Was there any damage to the skirting or the foundation of the house due to the root system?
From the root, no, sir.
Well, are we ready for a
But
motion?
I really wasn't trying to deface the property or nothing like that. This is my first time before this committee. I have learned a lot in the since June 1st,
Right.
since I purchased the property. But I was just ignorant to the fact. But that's why I put in a request to replant another tree and to try to make it right what I had done wrong.
Okay, thank you. Chair, entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the petitioner's request with the willow oak to be replanted according to the city's landscape standards.
I second that motion.
We have a motion that's been moved and properly seconded. Any unreadness? All in favor of that motion?
Wait. Can you specify a time for replacement so we can enforce it?
By March.
Because here's the reason, we have a statute of limitations of a year. So his violation notice, if your approval is good for a year, it will outlive the statute of limitations for us to be able to enforce it. So we need a time frame.
Can you plant this before March?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay? Okay. After March, I would think it would be iffy. Okay. So
Question.
So
Excuse me.
So everybody understands the motion? And it's still second?
Is it a tree or two trees?
One tree.
One tree was split, it was approved for removal.
Okay, okay.
Because it was hazardous.
these were not intentionally planted trees, would be my notion.
I'm not gonna say yes or no because they were on opposite corners of the house.
Okay,
I mean, that's,
you're right.
that would be a very odd coincidence.
It would be.
So we do have a motion that's been approved and second.
And we added plant by March to that.
And we added the plant by March. There any unreadness to that motion? All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Your project's been approved.
Now, Mr. Jernigan does not have to go off and plant that tree jammed up between those two houses again, does he?
No.
He can
No,
plant it.
he's put where
He's got a map and a location. They did get with me on the location
Okay.
and species, so that's all right.
Good.
And Christy and I aren't really arguing. We're coming at the same thing from two different directions. Either it's appropriate or it's not appropriate.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our next presenter, Lisa Lennox. Request for approval of window replacement for the property located at 1902 St. Charles Avenue, St. Charles, Capitol Heights. You may present your project.
I'm sorry.
You may present your project.
We
Please announce your name.
I'm sorry, I'm Lisa Lennox.
Okay.
We are looking to replace the old wood windows with EnviroGuard windows by Southern Sash. Those windows have been approved in our area before in the historic district. The windows will match exactly the windows that are there. These are 1:1 windows, except along the back of the house where there's multiple lights per window, in which case those will be made to match those windows as well.
We're using the EnviroGuard windows on a project on Dexter Avenue, and I think they're a first-class window. I think you made a good choice.
Any further comments from the board?
Why are you replacing these windows?
The old ones are rotten. Some, in a couple of cases, they're actually held in place with duct tape.
That's a good time to replace.
Yeah.
Any further comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Okay, Chair, entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we allow the replacement of all of these windows with the EnviroGuard windows as requested.
Second.
We have a motion that's been moved and probably seconded. There ain't any unreadness. All in favor of that motion?
Please use your microphone, ma'am.
It's not turned on.
I'm sorry.
It is now. Are y'all going to waive the 1 year so that the approval doesn't expire so she can replace the windows as financially able?
Yeah, that's a lot of windows. So
Yeah,
I think we ought to waive
Part of your
that.
motion.
Yep.
It's a big job.
So I would amend my motion to say that we would allow that,
Thank you.
the waiver.
Okay. And still second.
And I'll second that.
Okay. There ain't any unreadness on that motion. All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Okay. Project's been approved.
Thank you.
I don't like plastic windows. I'm not gonna vote for plastic windows. I'd be surprised if everybody for plastic windows.
Our next presenter, John and Karen Swanson, request for approval of a swimming pool for the property located at 3030 LeBron Road, Cloverdale, Idlewild. You may present your project.
I'm Karen Swanson, my husband John. We live at 3030 LeBron. It's a very simple thing of putting in a pool as close as we can to the back. We will just, the shallow end is the drip line for the pecan tree. That's what's left of the pecan tree back there. And very minimal decking. We came from Florida where they enclosed all the pools, but here you don't, and we want to be able to cover this to protect it from leaves coming down, so we're just going to have a ledge. It's going to be like a reflection pond, a swimming pool. We're not out there to sunbathe. We have a 3-year-old granddaughter who has learned to swim really, really well, and she would like to have a place to swim, as well as it's good therapy for a condition I have. So that's basically it. Our yard's already gated with 6 feet, and our neighbors are, as we left today, started to tear down the side that you approved that they could put a 7-foot fence. So it's got 2 gates that are locked. The tree, the pecan tree, is on the downslope from the neighbors already collecting all the irrigation. So we're not stopping any irrigation other than what would flow into our house.
Any comments from the board?
Is it going to be available to your neighbors?
Yes, we are selling memberships. Ms. Sue Dickerson has got a gold star already, and Charlie has already requested one. And Adrian's party, we have been told will be there, at least for if you qualify for that size. So, yes.
Trying to keep the neighbors happy.
Yes.
Any comments from the floor? Any comments from the floor?
Wait a minute, he's not eligible.
He has to abstain.
Charlie Colvin with the Cloverdale Idlewild Association, and we have no objections to this project, and we, as reflected, we have not held them hostage for the use of the pool.
We know. All right.
Mr. Chair, can I address staff comments on this one?
Yes,
I know I said that the footprint of the pool shouldn't affect the tree. The guy that drives the backhoe that digs the pool, if he parks against that tree to eat his lunch in the shade, that will affect the tree. I would love for y'all to mention something, if you're approved this, about putting up a tree protection barrier around that drip line during construction.
I can say he's not going to, our driveway goes right up, so he's going to make a straight line, and we're going to have him take it. We don't want the truck to come back because they said we need to get it done while it's dry, so we avoid everything. So we're going to pay extra to have him take it out. What do they call those little bobcats? So he'll make a straight run right down our driveway. And I won't let him park there because I have flower beds there.
I noticed that.
Yeah. And an irrigation system, so he will not be parking there, but we'll be glad to put up a fence.
Okay. Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion that's been moved, properly second. Any unreadness? No. All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Project has been approved. Good luck.
You've made a little 3-year-old very happy.
Correct.
Thank you.
I think you made some adults too. Some neighbors. She is cute. All right. Our next presenter, Chase Fisher. Request for approval of a privacy fence already installed. Porch railing already installed, and parking area for the property located at 475 South Goldway Street, Cottage Hill, Annex. This is in partial violation. You may present.
Yeah, so today I'm here asking for forgiveness. I was here at the last meeting for the 5 Points buildings down the street, asking for approval, which was granted. We're deeply invested in the neighborhood, care a lot about the neighborhood. Ourselves and our friends April and a few others are moving into this section of Cottage Hill and really wanting to link the Cottage Hill neighborhood with Morgan and Virginia, where there's kind of just this void in between, and kind of make it where people feel like they can live in that part of the neighborhood again. So we are the last property in the historic annex, and we're surrounded by vacant land. This house, it's on the tax records as being built in 1901, but it was actually later than that. It's not on the Sanborn maps in 1901. It was an accessory dwelling for a house that fronted Goldthwaite. So I guess a month before moving in our house, our back door was kicked in and all of the copper was stolen from the interior and exterior units. So we decided to put up a fence to protect, and I want my wife to feel safe at home when we're in this neighborhood and as it's improving. So that's a little bit of the basics. As far as the front railing goes, I've brought a few examples of the exact same design from around Cottage Hill. What's the easiest way to circulate these? Pass them out. And then there's one other as well of the archive building. So this almost exact same design is on at least 3 other properties in Cottage Hill. And then, as I said, you may not be able to hear me, but also is the same design that's on the front railing of the Alabama Archives building.
Jace, what do you do for a living, if I may ask?
Yes, so I work for Gulf Coast Housing Partnership. So we're developing the Jefferson Davis housing building right now, and then we'll be doing a project on Country Club Drive next year. So we do affordable housing development, and then on the side is running 5 Points Cultural Commission. I'm redeveloping the buildings along Goldthwaite Street and in the area there.
And you're doing that up at the 5 Points, that work up there?
That's right, yeah. So there's 3 buildings there that we're working on, not the Hilltop Arms, thankfully.
Right.
Although we're glad they're doing that. While that is being passed around, I will also bring around our inspiration photos for the fence going around the property, which is a 7-foot tall fence, tongue and groove. There's a number of 7-foot fences around Cloverdale and around Cottage Hill. As far as the horizontal, the ones I'm bringing by are the fence at Old Alabama Town, which is a horizontal fencing that goes around that property, one horizontal siding in Cottage Hill, and then an Ashley Gilbreath property in Cloverdale that also has the horizontal fencing. And then finally, on the parking area, Christy, I'm sorry I didn't get a drawing back to you. I don't have a printer, and I couldn't get Photoshop to work for me. So the goal would be that it is that the gravel runs from the end of the stairs there to the end of the fence. That should be right about 20 feet, and then that it'll be lined with brick to make sure that there's not pour over along the sides. Was there a front photo of the ramp up onto the parking area?
The first photo I took, that one at the top.
It's kind of hard to see, so that's going to have to be redone also, because it's right now it's like a mixture of gravel, concrete, and nothing, and it kind of ramps up in the middle. So that'll be part that we'll just rework with concrete as well. I'm also going to need to request the removal of a hackberry and a dead tree, but I'll do that at a later time, I guess.
I'm the only hackberry tree advocate on the whole board, so you'll probably be fine.
Good. Okay, we do have any comments from the board. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor?
Just wanted to I'm really close friends with Chase.
State your name.
I'm sorry, April Hampton. I'm really close friends with Chase and Rachel, and I remember Rachel just really telling me, like, sometimes she would get, you know, people from the neighborhood or walking around, you know, giving her threats or, you know, weird looks. And so, you know, finally when the AC coils got stolen and some copper, you know, she was just kind of really scared, you know, and I think just in haste trying to get that fence up, not really thinking about the approval, you know, just, you know, to make sure that everything was safe and, you know, and felt protected, so.
Thank you. Any further comments from the board? Chair, entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the project as submitted.
Second that motion.
And we have a motion that's been moved and properly second and submitted. Are there any unreadness? All in favor of the motion? All opposed?
Good job, by the way, Chase.
I'm in
Thank you.
favor.
Okay.
Just couldn't raise his hand quick enough.
I good luck with your brother.
I do have one quick thought for you guys to be thinking about, and I've talked to Robert Smith about this a little bit, but you know, our bigger concern is the stuff that's going to be built around us, that's going to be new construction. I mean, that's what really makes or breaks this part of the neighborhood. And I think that we really need to think of if there are ways, whether it be ARB or additions to code or an overlay district or something like that, where we could have some sort of more design-oriented requirements on what's being built to ensure that we maintain the fabric.
If it's in a historic district, it does not get built until it goes through us.
It does have to be? It has to
Well,
be.
this is the annex of Cottage Hill starts at 5 Points and takes in the two sides of Goldthwait and the Tyson House at the end of the street, and that's it. So he's talking about all the vacant land around that. Historic designation would have to be initiated by the neighborhood. We can't do that.
Well,
There's only a couple in the neighborhood right now.
And there has to be a reason to designate it, and I surveyed that for the 5-star project, and we had it declared ineligible as a historic district by the state about 5 or 6 years ago, because there's too much vacant land. So that is probably not a viable option. Conservation districts might be.
So what about even what's built on the properties that are in the district, like right behind our house and a lot behind that?
Anything that's in the district would have to come before this board.
Good. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you can't designate open land historic?
Can't what?
You can't designate open land as historic?
Yeah, how does that work? Because there are plenty of vacant properties that are in the historic district.
But 50% of the land up there was vacant. That was the problem, looking at it as a whole, and we can't piecemeal a district together. We can't just build in buffers and legally defend them.
Can't gerrymander like the legislature can.
Right,
Okay.
right. So having to look at a greater
Yeah,
area in the neighborhood, there was just too much empty space up there, especially right in the middle of it. It's like you'd have a big donut of historic. But conservation overlays are kind of the historic district light. It would review the big things, new construction and demolitions, but not necessarily someone wanting to change their windows or put up a privacy fence. So that may be something to consider.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Our next presenter, C.C. Sepulveda, and that's request for approval to close existing opening on the rear of the house for the property located at 2108 College Street, Old Cloverdale. You may present your project.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Love with All About Construction. And,
Anthony Gardner, project supervisor.
we're proposing to actually close 3 windows and a door on the back of this property here. Basically, some of the windows actually they're inside of a closet, and we want to go back with the matching siding rather than just patch that area, just go from one end to the other end, so it doesn't look like, we just put a Band-Aid over it.
You're gonna fill in inside the pool, Mr. Wells?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Simple as that, okay. Any comments from the board?
Any comments from the floor?
Any comments from the floor?
Darby Forrester, representing the Old Cloverdale Association. We don't have any issues with what they are trying to do. We think it will improve the house. Most anything done to that house would improve it. Or is it going to be painted? Are y'all going to paint it? Not the way it is now? Oh, thank God. I know you have to use the colors from the historic palette, but the way they put it together did not work out well. And are y'all going to fix the fence?
Yes, ma'am.
The back fence? Okay, good. And don't cut down those roses in front because we planted those.
Gotcha.
Okay, we're fine.
She's obviously watching you. so-
Yes, ma'am.
Don't make a promise you can't keep.
Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the petitioner's request as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion that's been moved and probably second. Any unreadness? All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Project's been approved.
All right. Thank
Good
you.
luck with it.
Thank you.
Okay, next project, Mary Ann McCrory.
That is I.
Request for approval of deck and screen porch, rear door, new window, opening, and driveway material change for the property located at 1603 Madison Avenue, Capitol Heights. You may present your project.
There it is. This is John Corley. He's sort of in charge of this project, if it's approved. Is there one at the back of the house? Yeah, okay. That's the area where the Z, okay, here, this is better. Keep going. Yes, there. That's the screen porch. Yes, looking at the back of the house. Currently, you have to walk up cement steps through a sort of strange foyer, through another room, and then to the kitchen before you get there. There's really no direct way into the kitchen from the house, from anywhere. So this would replace the kitchen window with a door and a 10-foot deck.
Could you move forward and speak into the microphone? It's hard to hear you. Thank you.
Come over some, come over some.
You won't bite.
This is your moment of fame. You can speak into the microphone.
Okay, you ask and we'll answer.
Well, this is a real improvement over what you submitted last time.
It is much better drawing this time. We had some help.
It is, I can tell. I understand it.
Got to keep doing it till I get my porch.
All right.
I think I understand everything except this glass block window.
That was the question I was gonna have.
All right.
What's up with that, Ms. McRory?
Do they have a side view? Go back to your pictures.
All right, go to the other one. Where you see that window right there with the arrows. To the left of it is a room that has no light in it. We talked about the glass blocks not going to work. We just want to put a window similar to what we're going to have over the proposed door at the back porch, just for light.
So there's not going to be any glass block anymore. You're just going to.
It'll be, you know, the what do you call it, the transom? It'll be a transom window. It'll have the panes in it and everything, but it won't be like the stacked blocks that are 4 inches.
It's going to look like this drawing that we've got, not like rather than that glass block window.
It'd be similar to what's going to be above the door on the porch.
That's part of the door.
Yeah.
The glass blocks was option one. The other option is to put a window exactly like that. What do you call it? 1 over 1? Just to the left, it will be a bathroom there, and there's currently no light coming into that room at all.
All right. Well, you know, a window in the bathroom is not altogether unusual. I mean, you can have a blind or a shade and control the light and have a window that would be consistent with the house would not be a bad idea.
I don't know that it shows in that picture very well, but the lower pane light in that window is sort of a pebbly texture, which I assume isn't very difficult to find.
It would not be, right.
I mean, I guess
it was going to be put up towards the soffit. That's all it is. It's not one that really has to have blinds. You won't be able to see on it.
Right.
Like I say, it's just primarily for light purposes.
I might be confused, and I apologize. We have a cut sheet of a window that simulates glass blocks.
You have two. That was option one, or option B.
Okay, so y'all are talking, we've thrown out option one, and you're just talking about option two
Yes,
now.
I prefer option two, yes.
Thank you.
The glass block's right.
No,
Thank you very much.
Like I said, that was about everything else I had no problem with. The glass blocks, I was reading this afternoon, I was kind of scratching my head.
Well, okay. I think it started because that bathroom is 8 feet by 8 feet. I was like, can we have a window and a bathtub?
Contract figured it out.
Well, I certainly understand you want some lighting in the bathroom. I was just wondering, why glass blocks? It's about the only question I had about the whole project.
Okay. Do we have any further comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the plan as submitted with option 2, not the glass blocks on the window for the restroom.
Second. Okay. We have a motion that's been moved, probably second there in unreadness. All in favor of that motion? All opposed? Project has been approved.
Thank you. It's gonna be beautiful.
Well, I love this house. I'm so glad you're doing some things with it.
It's got a long way to go, but
You're every step.
It's uphill. Keeps us out of trouble.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh, and the crushed run on the driveway.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next presentation by April Hampton. Request for approval of porch balcony configuration, new windows, front and side yard walls, gate, and parking pad, and renovation related alterations for the property located at 447 South Goldway Street, Cottage Hill Annex.
There's a lot going on.
All right, you may present your case.
Yeah, so no, I'm really excited about this project. Like I was, I'm April Hampton. Like I was saying before, I'm really good friends with Chase and Rachel, and for some odd reason, they always get us to tag along with them wherever they go. So, you know, they just finished their beautiful remodel, and they've encouraged us to do the same. Me and my husband would just really love to see this house just be beautiful again. I'm not from Montgomery, but I remember just, you know, when I first got here, riding by for years and just wondering when somebody's going to fix it up, and so I'm excited about the opportunity to do so. So what I am asking to do is take advantage of those beautiful pillars out front. Not only put a porch, but put a balcony out there, and I was lucky to find about 100 of the flat stone balusters inside. I assume they're original, I don't know, I don't have any pictures, but we would utilize that. I don't know if you have the drawing. Of the inside, So we do plan on replacing all of the windows. We had someone come out from Marshall and they said none of them can be saved. So though there is a mix, we do plan on going with the 2/2. That seemed to be the predominant window. And the house across the street has the 2/2.
So you're putting windows in exactly like the windows that are there?
Well, again, there's random windows, as you can see in the pictures, but we assumed that it was the 2/2 because, and we wanted to kind of match what our neighbors have. We thought that would be appropriate. And I was able to find a Gelwin 2500 wood window that would fit that. Also, we are looking to either do a wood fence 4-foot or a simulated rock face brick panel. I located a product in California. There should be a photo of a white one, like an all white.
I handed that out because it was too late to
So it mimics the lines of the facing that's on the house itself. So we were looking at that as an option, or wood, 4-foot.
This is vinyl, Ms. Hampton?
No, that is actually concrete cast.
Cast concrete.
Yes. I did, the vinyl was just a off-put. I was just looking at some different ideas. But I thought the cast concrete was a beautiful option.
I'm glad you came up with something besides vinyl, because I don't think that would have gone very far.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
So again, so I wouldn't have to necessarily come back. I was looking at either the wood fence, if that could be approved, or the concrete panel that mimics the rock face. And we would do that all along the perimeter of Gothwaite and Warren Court. And we would have simple iron gates at the front of Gothwaite, at the center of where the front doors are. That's the sawn balusters that was found inside. So there's like a stack of about 100 of them in there. So we would utilize that in creating the balcony and really making that a showpiece for the house.
You're not going to cover the balcony?
We are not going to cover it.
Why?
I don't know. So I've just had a stint up north in some of the historic districts, and they have some really cool balconies. I mean, they're just beautiful. And I'm from Miami. I love the sun. So I just thought that for the vantage point, being on that corner of Warren Court, Gothwaite, that it created a beautiful spot to have a balcony there. And I thought it would enhance the house. It would look really pretty to bring those balusters and incorporate them in a way that created a real focal point. And so the plan is to build the posts at the top in alignment with the posts that are the rock face brick columns in the front, and to mimic the size and shape of those supporting posts.
April, let me make a suggestion to you.
Sure.
You obviously are very sensitive to the historic neighborhood and want to do this house correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I commend you on your initial drawing sketches here. You're proposing to do a lot of work on this house, and it's somewhat complicated because of the balcony, and you don't want it to rot out on you and cause you issues. I think that there's so much in your plan here in your mind, and you may not do all this at one time, but you need to get an architect
Okay.
to draw this for you
Okay.
and work with you so that when you give it to the builder, he'll have exactly what he's supposed to do. And to me, you know, your sketches could be misinterpreted and you end up not getting what you thought you were getting when you verbalized to him and showed him your sketches as to what you want to do.
Sure.
And so I think that the house is too important to not invest in getting someone to prepare drawings for you that can be built from by a contractor.
Sure, and my contractor he's a very good builder. He has already turned in an idea of how he would actually...
Well, and what I wanted to say in that regard,
Sure.
but that they be submitted to us for us to review. This is,
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying, but
Okay.
I just can't get there from here.
Okay.
And so I
Okay.
could not vote on positively or negatively on what we've got in front of us tonight.
Okay.
I mean, we're advocates of people presenting, unless they want to do a fence in the backyard or some, you know, minor adjustment or a new color, you know, they don't require drawings for that.
Sure.
This is complicated, what you're about to undertake.
Sure.
And so I would like to urge you to work with someone, an architect or a draftsman that does houses that can illustrate this correctly so that we can all have a good judgment of it and come back to us and show us those drawings, you know, at a later date.
Okay. So,
But
go ahead.
that's just me, but I'm thinking that we don't have enough information here to really make a valid
So I guess my
decision.
question is, what exactly, I guess is the question, like, is it how it's going to be built? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, you'll need exterior elevations
Okay.
and for your benefit and the builder's benefit, drawings that show how the balcony is constructed and everything about it. I mean, but basically you need a set of plans.
Okay, and that's fine. I mean, we were trying to get this together quickly, but I know he did create a basic sketch. I don't know if that's in the photographs.
I don't think it copied very well.
Okay, so he did create, he went to the house and he studied it and he did create his plan of action of how he would execute the balcony over the decking. And so I did turn that in. I don't know if that's there.
It did, but it's
It's
a bad copy. You know,
Okay.
sometimes they get light when the
Yeah,
when they're and
okay.
again, they're not professionally done, and it's
Okay.
Christie can give you the name of several people that do a great job and show you
I cannot.
show some examples of
You all
some of
can.
the work that's been submitted to us previously that really shows clearly
Okay.
what the scope of work
That's fine.
really is.
Okay.
And I asked about covering the balcony because it's been pointed out. I know it's popular to have open balconies in other areas of the country, especially, you know, Miami, places like that. It is not that common in this area. I'm struggling to think of one right
The
now.
only one I came up with was that photo of a house on Perry Street where they removed it. And it had a very similar kind of scroll work baluster on it. And it was open. It was an open roof.
This works because we've got a lot of houses, or had a lot of houses in Montgomery that had balustrades on top of their porches. But of course, there wasn't any deck up there. It was just, it was
Right.
like a roof cresting, and that's what this looks like. So it works, but it is mighty hard to get anything that's open to the weather in the south to last very long.
Sure, and I know in terms of the flooring, we do want to look at using a composite material, wood material that would last. So that is the plan.
And that gets very hot. I speak from experience.
Oh, I know.
And
A lot of things have been tried, and
and
you can
mine
always
is
come up with,
partially
this looks
undercover.
great right now, but this is November. When you get into July or August, when you go walking out there,
Sure. Oh, I know. I just came from the DC area where it's like 103 in the, yeah.
well, you're living in a swamp in DC, so you know.
So I
All
get
right,
it.
so
Yeah.
we'll entertain a motion.
Okay,
We gonna
You wanna-
table this till next time?
Okay, well, are there any comments from the floor?
Yeah, so Justin and April are supposed to be closing on this house on Friday.
Announce
Yeah, Chase Fisher. They're supposed to be closing on this house on Friday, and I think getting at least some portion of this approved is going to be really important. And to the open balcony, the house that Ashley Gilbreth did on Felder Avenue.
Not your best example.
Well,
actually, it's not a good.
But let's well, Southern Living would beg to differ.
I'm just
but
saying
but let me if I can show a picture of the open balcony there. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them, but like you were pointing out, some may not have doors, but I've seen it in quite a few places, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for. But I want to actually be able to use it.
I would like her to come back one more time. So
Yeah.
It's not attached on the
She's
front of
moving?
it.
Yeah. So for me, the biggest difference is I want to actually be able to utilize it. Why just have it look pretty and look like a balcony if it's not useful? So to me, that's the idea. We're going with the railing there. Why not put a door there? And the plan is to modify the door that was shown that's full glass. The windows currently are 42 by 84. So they're about the size of doors. So we just thought it would be a easy transition to go ahead and get a full light door and just had the mullion crafted to look like the window, the two of them.
I don't think anybody on this board has any questions about the general concept of what you want to do.
No.
But we've got to have more details in order to really make a decision.
So could you guys approve it, and maybe without just that front porch portion, like pending drawings on that? Because we are hungry for neighbors, and we really need to not have this delayed a month so we can, get moving on having people come into this part of the neighborhood.
Let me ask, April, I don't think we've discussed the parking pad you want.
Sure.
It didn't, what kind of material?
To be honest, it's kind of incidental right now because it's
Okay.
one of the last things. So we're thinking of something like crushed rock or something like that. To be
Common
honest,
in
it's
the
going to
area.
depend on the budget once we get to the end of this. You
We've
saw the
We've
inside.
all lived in these houses. We all know it all depends on the budget.
Yeah, so at the end, I mean, if we could do a brick, because we do have to remove the chimneys from the inside that have fallen in. Each room had a chimney. You can't really see them from the outside except for, I think, one we can preserve. But the rest of them have fallen in on the inside. So I plan on getting those bricks cleaned up and possibly reusing those if we don't have the budgetary constraints to do so.
Would it be okay with you if, for a while, we give you an opportunity to get some plans on, and I think the balcony in that area is the biggest thing.
Sure.
Go ahead and we'll, if the board approves, go ahead and give you permission to get those windows in, because
Sure.
that again, is going to take time.
Well, part of that plan involves converting windows to doors for those balconies. Would you hold off on those?
On what?
Hold off on replacing
There are
those.
there are two windows that she wants to turn into
Sure.
doors.
Okay.
Sure, yeah. And I don't know if the photos, the drawings that I just sent around kind of show those two. The lights look different. We decided to simplify it so it matched the rest of the windows.
Let's just do the windows except for the ones that would turn into doors, because our meeting is earlier next month because we have Christmas.
Right, it's
Okay.
3 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I did try to find people that could do renderings, people that I knew, and they couldn't turn them around that fast. So I don't know if that's, with the holidays, if that's going to be an
It's
issue.
always crunch time again this time of year.
And again, because I guess my assumption is because there's other homes that feature that, is it just the balcony, like the usefulness that's the problem? I get what he's saying about the look, but we've seen that there's other representation. We just want to make it where we can utilize it.
And I've seen them. I've often wondered why people didn't put a door out there so they could enjoy it. But it's just, it's one of those things that's not really done that way a lot around in Alabama and around the South. But if we're talking about replacing all, giving her permission to replace the windows except for the ones you want to convert to doors because of the balcony. Also, you want to do a 4-foot-high wood fence?
Yeah, wood or the concrete rock face simulated.
Have we ever had any rock face simulated like that? I don't think so.
No, it's a relatively new product. It's a thin product, which I like because it doesn't take away from the grass area. Really, I like it's a thinner profile than, you know, your traditional brick, but it looks exactly like what's on the house. It's just more of a veneer.
That is something I would like to see a sample of.
Yeah, okay. I would like to see a sample of something like that before I approve it. I will make a motion that we give Ms. Hampton authorization to replace the windows except for the two that you want to convert in association with your balcony. Also give permission to install a 4-foot wooden fence if you desire, if you'd like to bring us a sample of the composite, we can look at it. Again, I've never seen anything like that anywhere. But I so move that we permit her to replace the subject windows and install the wood fence, and we will table the rest of her request until she's able to get some architectural drawings for us to reconsider.
Okay. I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion that's been moved and second.
I'm sorry, I do have a question about the porch itself, because we do have to go back with something on the pillars.
But that's what your plans are gonna.
They just want better drawings that are to scale, that show the detail, that show the connections.
All right. Okay, we have a motion on the floor that's been moved and properly second. Any unreadness on that matter? Okay, all in favor of that motion? All opposed? It's been approved.
Oh, so you can get with Christy so she'll know exactly what she could do.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay, perfect.
She'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe that's it for tonight. Any comments or questions? All right, meeting is adjourned.